Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We got another video for you today where I build this chicken run behind me. This is for our new chickens that we got about a couple months ago. They are our new Lavender Orpingtons, and they need a place to run on the outside that is free from our dogs. So anyway, I went ahead and put this together for the last few weekends and evenings. So let's get started. I'll show you all the steps that I took to build it, and so you can and do the same at your property. Okay, so now starts the time-consuming part of putting this together, is setting all the posts. And so what I'm going to be doing is I have 8-foot 4x4s here, and that's going to be the 6 posts that go around. And you know, I want it to be at over 6 feet sticking up out of the ground because that's how tall I am. So I want to be sure I'm not hitting my head on the ceiling. So I would like to set these 2 feet in the ground, but that puts it right at 6 feet, and that's a little too close. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them in 20 inches in the ground, so that gives it a few more inches for me to have some headroom. So 20 inches in the ground, and so I marked the bottom or the post up 20 inches so I know where that is, you know, when I get level with the ground. The other thing is I usually fill this in with soil, the bottom few inches, or probably halfway maybe, with soil to kind of hold it, and I'll get it level, and I'll pack the soil in, and then I'll fill the top about, you know, I guess 10 inches or a foot or so with concrete. So what that is going to do is help isolate the post from the soil. So a lot of times the rot occurs just near the surface there where it's wet and dry, and it's, you know, the oxygen is in the soil, and it can just start decaying the post faster, versus the deeper part of the post tends to survive longer. And also a lot of the force when you're going to be pulling on it with the fencing is, you know, that top bit needs to be secured, and that's kind of be doing a lot of the resistance with that kind of tilting of the post when you start pulling on the fence. So it's nice to have a concrete ring, you know, close to the surface. That helps give you like a bigger area that's pushing against the soil, so that helps you out as well. But so what we're going to do is set this post, put the soil in, then I like to pour in the water first and then dump the dry concrete into the water and mix it in. That kind of helps it mix a little better versus putting in the concrete first. Then what you got to do is kind of wait a little bit before you do the fencing. So this is about the last thing I'll do today. Concrete you know, takes, you know, many days, you know, a month to fully cure about, but you can probably start pulling on it with the fence, you know, a day or two later. So I'm going to go ahead and put all these posts in, pour in the concrete, all that kind of stuff, and just let it sit for the day. And then come back maybe tomorrow or the next day and start stretching some fencing. Alright guys, so it's been a few days since I started this, and I've let the posts sit in this concrete for about 3 days, and so they're hard enough now that I can ready to stretch some fencing. So what I did after setting the posts, I dug a trench along each of the posts, or between each of the posts, and I didn't show you all that. It's just kind of me digging some ditches, so it's not too exciting. But I was able to get about 3-4 inches down, and instead of the digging a little bit deeper that I had on my other chicken coop run, just to kind of lock it in, this time I went a little shallower, and I'm going to use some concrete cylinders that I have, just spares, and that's going to weigh down the bottom edge of this chicken coop run, so it'll weigh the wire down, so I don't have to bury it so deep. You could probably use rocks, same thing. It's just something heavy that an animal won't be able to kind of dig out of the way too easily. It saves me from having to dig down through all these roots. So I got that dug, and then I was able to put the tops on. So the tops are just 2x4s, and they're 12 foot long, and they're just screwed into the top, nothing fancy. And then I stained them with this gunstock stain color that I have, and so it kind of matches the other coop run, and so we're kind of good to go now. So what I'm going to be doing is stretching the wire, attaching it to one post, and then kind of stretching it along and stapling it as I go. So I have 2 layers that are 4 foot tall chicken wire, so they're going to start at the bottom and then the upper part, and it's going to wrap over the top, and it's going to make a should have about a foot or so, 1.5 feet left over the top, which would be nice because I'm going to kind of tie that into the roof panel, and then we'll be kind of going from there. Okay, I've got the first few feet of this this chicken wire kind of anchored to the ground. What I ended up doing was putting some stakes in that trench, kind of curled the chicken wire to kind of face out of the run, and then put some stakes in the ground, and then put these concrete cylinders on top of it. I've got a bit of the run done. You can kind of see how it's tightened, because basically chicken wire acts more like netting than it's like regular fencing, where you can just stretch it one way and then you're good. This way you kind of have to stretch it the other way, the long ways and the width ways. So I'm going to anchor it to the ground first, and then I got to pull the two together. I did overlap it some when I was stapling, but they're kind of getting pulled apart, so I'm just using some zip ties to kind of pull them back together. And then after I get a nice run of those with zip ties, because these will probably degrade over time, is I'm going to put wrap some wire in here, just kind of like thread it through, so it kind of sews them together with the length of wire. And then once you get that done, then you start attaching the top with the staples on the top board. Okay, so now it's time to build the door to this chicken run, and I gotta get some dimensions here, and I'm gonna have the door flush with these boards here, so it's not like it's gonna close and hit the outside of the post. It's gonna be flush when it closes and with this outside of the post. So what you're gonna end up doing is, if you're gonna do it that way, you have to add a stop here for that door to hit something when it closes. So I'm gonna take some measurements for the width. It's 33 inches. Measure it in 33 exactly. You think I've measured this or something? 33 exactly. So my wheelbarrow is about 28 inches wide, and so I made this a little bit wider, about 5 inches wider, so that way I could kind of get in and out easily. So kind of take that into account. You're going to clean this run out maybe and bring in a wheelbarrow full of stuff, or take the wheelbarrow out full of stuff, and so you want to be able to come in and out of your chicken run pretty easily. So 33 inches, and then we're going to make this, the ground's pretty uneven, so we can fix that later. Actually, I'll measure this side. So 6 feet 2 inches is 6 feet 2.5, I think, was the actual dimension. And what I'm doing is I'm going to reduce that when I go to build the door, so it doesn't. So 6'3". Let's do all the way to the top, and I'll reduce that a little bit to leave a bit of a gap, and I could play with it up or down and dig a little bit into the dirt or fill it in. The width being 33, I'm going to make it 32.5. So there's going to be a little bit of a gap where the hinge is, and then also a little bit of a gap in the front. What's going to end up happening over time is that this gate door is going to move and shift as the kind of gets settled into place, and just with weather, the thing is going to warp and bend, and so you kind of want to account for that a little bit, have a little bit of gap, so it can kind of do that and not bind on you. So let's go ahead and go into the barn, and we'll start laying this door out and start putting this together. All right, so I'm cutting the hole to make the tunnel, and you just cut a T. I cut a vertical, and then I'm cutting a T across the top. I actually cut it earlier a little too short of a T. I wasn't accounting for the floor being raised up that much, so that's kind of my fault. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it a little higher now, and I'm just curling it into the wood that I have attached here. And then I'm going to cut a short piece to attach the top. All right, thanks for sticking around for this video. This was a few days of work here in the yard, but I got it finished. There's a few other odds and ends I need to do. I'm gonna put some dirt over top of the concrete blocks that I have around the edges, just to kind of, hide them a little bit. I think over time we're gonna put pine straw down and make flower beds and things, so they're gonna be covered anyway. But I'm gonna put some dirt down there. I think I'm gonna change the latch on the gate, or on the main door. That's one I had, and I'm not too much of a fan of it, so I'm gonna change that out. And I think I'm gonna put some water and a feeder out here, just to have another source for them. So I'm gonna do that here in the next day or so. I just actually got some in the mail. I got a new feeder and water in the mail. So anyway, again, thanks for sticking around for this video. If you would like this video, subscribe to my channel. There'll be more videos like this to come, and I'll see you on the next one.